Welcome back to another episode of The View from the Ninian. And as you might have seen during the week, we heard the sad news that Mark Lewis, blue since '82, passed away after his experience with prostate cancer. Mark was someone who came on the podcast at the end of last season, at a time when things were very dark for the football club. He was a beacon of positivity and light. The kind of work he did to show what living with prostate cancer is like, what the experience is like for football fans, and the awareness he raised on behalf of that group was incredible. The way he spoke about his life and what he'd learned from living, and what he'd learned from going through his experiences with prostate cancer was just something that astounded us all, really. And I think it was inevitable news, sadly, because he did have a terminal diagnosis, but it was still devastating to hear. So I just wanted to start the podcast in acknowledgement of Mark Lewis. He was a fantastic human being, a brilliant man, and someone I was so glad that we were able to feature on this podcast at a time when things were really bad for the football club. He just came through with such positivity. If you haven't watched that episode, it's on our YouTube. Give it a search. I think it's called Life Lessons with Mark Lewis, blue since '82, and he will raise some light in your life. And I think we just wanted to say RIP to Mark Lewis. We're going to be doing some more stuff in that space with prostate cancer. We're going to be doing stuff for Prostate United, so you can hear more on that in the coming months, and it'll all be in Mark Lewis's name. So I just wanted to start the podcast acknowledging that and saying RIP Mark Lewis. Tom, Ben, thanks for joining us this week. Tom, how are you?
All right, yeah. After that intro, it's put things in perspective a little bit. But no, I'm good. Thank you very much, mate.
Ben, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Like Tom said, it's a bit hard to moan about anything else after that, isn't it? It's sort of
yeah.
I genuinely think that podcast is the best thing we've done, like as far as message and everything that goes with it. Because he was unbelievable. I watched that, didn't watch it when you after you recorded it, watched it when it went out, and I was just like inspired to a different level after listening to that man speak. Unbelievable courage and character in him.
Yeah, and I think we're about to go into talking about a podcast where we're going to be moaning about referees and we're going to be moaning about Stockport fans, all that kind of stuff. But does it really matter? No. What he went through and the way he spoke about it was so inspiring, and he was able to turn such a kind of a negative into such a positive and use it for all the right reasons. I think the work he did with PHS Group, which is where a friend of the pod was working with him at the time, and she was the person who set it up. So thanks to Beth for setting that up with him. And she was just she just insisted that we had the conversation with him because you wouldn't leave the same person. I don't think I was. There was such a kind of lesson that I took from him and learnings that I took from him that it kind of has changed my outlook on things a little bit. And I think his legacy will be what he's done to raise awareness of living with prostate cancer, and it will be his positivity and the way he spoke. So you can't overstate how impressive he was as a person and how inspiring he was as a person as well. So we're forever grateful for having him on the pod and forever grateful for the work that he did. And I think, like I said, if you haven't watched it, it's on our YouTube. You can probably find it on our audio feed as well. We've posted about it on our Twitter feed this week. So go and have a watch, because I just think you'll take something from it that you won't take from any other podcast, which is us moaning about referees and footballers. So we're going to talk about, we're going to moan about referees, we're going to moan about footballers, we're going to do all that kind of stuff. But I think it's all in perspective, really. So I want to thank Mark for coming on the podcast, and I send all our love to his family and friends and everyone who knew him, because he was a genuinely inspiring person. So let's talk about Stockport after that. Ben, Stockport at home, little old Stockport, chip on their shoulders Stockport. They came into town and left with a point. What did you make of the game?
They got a hard-earned point on the big day out, didn't they? I think that's the way to go. It's odd. The whole game was just odd. Started all right, and then stuff happened. I feel like Salech's chance is a massive, massive turning point in the game. A swinging doors,
revolving doors, swinging doors.
Yeah,
moment.
All of those. But it was just odd. Like it's a point against a promotion contender. But everything about that, I didn't know how to feel at full time with everything that went on. It was one of the oddest games of the season for a very different reason.
Yeah, Tom, obviously we'll talk through the Salech moment in detail, but that kind of in the first half took the momentum out of the game completely. We got the momentum back in the second half, but then it still seemed to peter out as a game. And, as much as I wanted us to win that game, as much as I think we probably had the better chances in the second half to win that game, at the end of it, I was fine with the point because everything had gone on. I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, I think if we'd lost that game, it would have been a bit of a nightmare. But a point is fine, especially with like how the league has been at the moment, where teams are taking points off each other and we're just staying unbeaten. I think that's absolutely fine. To be honest with you, as much as it was a horrendous incident, it probably did us a favour, the game stopping for a little bit, because like, it kind of gave us a chance to reset. Because I thought we were well off it, to be honest with you, for about a 20-minute period in that first half. I know the weather was horrendous, but like we weren't sticking passes. They were flying into touch. There was like just poor control across the board. We looked at all at sea. I think their opening goal kind of sums that up, or their only goal, sorry, sums that up. But we really weren't at it in that first half. When we've seen how slick we can be in that first half against Bradford, and then we follow it up with that at home, I think that's why it's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, all in all, I think I'm pretty happy with the point, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Ben, the opening exchanges, I felt, looking back on it, the first sort of 5 minutes, it looked like we picked up where we left off against Bradford. We were passing the ball around really well. We were getting it forward. We kind of controlled the early exchanges. Our second touches at times weren't great. I think I picked out, Ollie Tanner was playing well, but there were times where his first touch would be brilliant, but his second touch would be a slack pass, or it would go out of play, or he wouldn't find the man. I don't want to criticize him too much. He's still coming back from injury, and I think he was still one of our most dangerous players in that half and did get better. But then it switched, and Stockport seemed to take control of the game, didn't they? And it kind of, we were a little bit under the cosh in that first sort of 20 minutes, Ben.
Yeah, Stockport put their game plan in place, didn't they? They really, it was an incredibly high, like a really, really high aggressive press, not giving us any time to sort of get our game going. And our midfield really struggled with that. I think Cole's a very good player, but he struggled to get into the game for most of the first half, probably until he scored. He was either rushing on the ball or holding on to it for too long and getting tackled. Robertson struggled to get into it. Wintle was probably the best at the bunch, and even he was sort of just hounded boys on him straight away. Mm-hmm. And that sort of nullified us, really meant we couldn't get our game going. And that's really, really good tactics from Stockport there. I think they did well. They pushed, as soon as Trott was getting the ball, the striker was up there in his face. It was difficult. Like, we need the ball to create. We need to pass the ball about, get things going. If you're stopping that from happening, we can. I think that's probably what Bradford did against us there when we lost at home to them as well, is they stopped that midfield flow from going, and that's what they managed to control the game. And that's what Stockport did without really creating much at the other end.
Yeah, and I think even when Trott went long, Tom, there were times where he kicks the ball better than anyone, but there are other times where he's almost trying to thread the pass through gaps that aren't really there, and he's playing these kind of like low passes that then end up at the feet of the Stockport player. It was a really testing opening 20 minutes, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the type of football we play is when it clicks, we're really, really dangerous, because when people do play that high press, if we can unlock that first pass, suddenly we've got acres of space. And I think that's where we miss Ruben Colwell, right? Because he can find that pass, he can find that gap. But we weren't finding that gap, and we were putting ourselves immediately under pressure again. And it was one of those games where like their goal came from it, where we didn't, it was a kind of deflected thing and they had acres of space. But like we had moments where, Osho, when he puts a back pass in, God, he puts some venom behind it. It's got about
there were a couple in that game where it's bouncing.
Yeah, it's bouncing again to the keeper. So when it looks good, that football is fantastic. But when it's a game like that, when things aren't sticking, it is hairy. And like, that's where the conversation earlier in the season around our centre-back partnership came from, right? Because Chambers and Osho, again, when they click, it's slick, it's brilliant, it looks fantastic. But when it's going wrong, Christ, it
looks terrible.
Yeah, like I was ready to throw the laptop on the floor every 5 minutes, because it was just like, oh God, another one. And it's just like, it does really test you as a fan watching.
Let's talk about their goal, Ben. Was it 10 minutes the goal comes, Carl Wootton with a tap in, but the goal comes from the midfield, doesn't it? It's slack play in the middle of the park where Wintle is doing his best to kind of get in a tackle. He misses the tackle, it bounds over him, and the defenders are all at sea. And I don't blame the defense necessarily, because they're both marking two people, but they're not really sure where they're going. But it was a goal kind of our own making, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah, shot ourselves in the foot. I think even if you go before then, a minute before, Salech has a really soft header that he probably should have done better with, either brought it down to have a shot or put more power in the header. We could have gone 1-up, but then a minute later, we've got a goal kick. It's not the greatest goal kick from Trot either. I don't think that helps. And the field are all over the shop, and yeah, they overload us for this. I think at one point it's 5v3. Defenders can't do anything about that. I don't think any of the defenders are at fault for that. I think that goal is entirely responsible from the midfield. They're just nowhere near it. Wintl's the closest, but there should be Colwell should be nearer. Robertson probably should be as well, even though he's playing sort of the more advanced of the midfield three. And they just pulled apart, and it's unlucky from Trot. Probably he'd be a bit annoyed he flicked into the path of the striker, but there's not a lot he could have done. It was a good strike from the other strike, from the first shot. And it's just that tapping from Watton, who's a very, very dangerous striker at this level. And you can see why he's got as many goals. Yeah, because he is an absolute handful of a player.
Yeah, he's a bit of a beast. Tom, could Trot have done better? Ben touches upon it there, but, he kind of does what he has to do. He gets a hand to it, but could he have had a stronger hand to it? Could he have turned it round the post? Could he have caught it? What was your view on Trot's save?
No, I think he did all right. He did well to get down to it, to be honest with you. He's just unlucky in that situation. To be honest with you, I think we're a bit unlucky in the whole passage of play because it comes from like an awkward deflection from a tackle, really.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it bounces. I know there's a lot of space there, but because we're in that transition of trying to go forward, the midfield needs to be a little bit smarter. Like there shouldn't be that amount of space there, but it's just a little bit unfortunate. Like it just doesn't fall for us. It falls to them. They break. Possibly Chambers could have done a little bit better. I think you've got to go to the man with the ball, right? Instead of leaving that gap and then go through the middle. But I think we're just unlucky from start to finish. You'll have these goals every now and again.
He's screwed either way, though. He goes as a pass on. If he goes that man, it's a simple pass. He's split. There's nothing he can do there.
But rather go wide, though. Like, you just leave. You can't leave a gaping hole right in the middle. No, I know, but like you're leaving a man just run straight through the centre. I think you've got to close him down. Someone's got to close him down earlier. But I get the dilemma.
Osher and Chambers both go at the same point, don't they? When he's about to shoot, and at that point, it's a little bit too late because the guy's literally shaping up to shoot, and they're trying to react as he shoots, and you're a step behind at that point. So I agree. I did wonder if a defender could have got out a bit quicker, if someone could have gone to him, because they had NG trying to cover as well, and NG kind of. I think he just sees the writing on the wall and doesn't really track his man as well as he could. But again, he's also 5 yards behind him, so it's not really his fault either. I think it's just you could probably watch that goal 10 times and find a different thing each time and go, "Oh, that was the problem," or "That was the problem." Because I watched it a few times this morning. Robertson isn't tracking back. Wintl's then caught out and has to go to him. So that's two mistakes right there. You've got two defenders tracking, but also could run to him. NG perhaps doesn't cover. Trot maybe could have done better with the save. You could talk about it all day, right? And pick a different problem each time. But I think it's just one of those goals. And the way they played, they're going to score goals like that because they kind of attacked from midfield and Wootton was going to feed off scraps. And they did what they had to do and they got that goal. I didn't mention the Salech chance, Ben, because I forgot what time it came in. I thought it came after their goal. So we can talk about that Salech now.
Just before, yeah.
What's your so Ben? You mentioned it then. You think you said yesterday you think he could have taken the touch, right?
I think there's a chance to bring it down. He's got a lot more. I think he's got a lot more time in the center of that box, and he thinks there's no one really near him. It'd be a difficult bring down. I get that, but there's definitely a chance to do something more with it than what he did. I think if he's looking at, he knows he should have scored there. He'll be looking at that with ice in his neck, thinking he should have scored.
Tom, do you think he could have taken a chance, taken a touch?
I think he's a bit unlucky. I think you've got to go for the header when you're in that situation, but it's quite hard to generate power from the type of ball that was put in. So I get,
isn't it?
It's lofted, it's kind of curled in, and you've kind of got to go for the far post, but it's quite hard. I think you're just trying to get your head on it and hoping for the best in that situation. And he probably could have done a little bit better, but he's missed easier chances than that this season, I'd say. I don't think this is one we can really kind of hold against him. But yeah, you want him to do a little bit better, but I think it is a pretty tough one just to kind of get any sort of power on it.
Yeah, because the ball's kind of coming from behind him, isn't it? So it's kind of like you have to almost do... Anyone who was listening wouldn't have seen me try and arch my head then to head the football. I think I know what you're saying, Ben, about him taking the touch, but when I've watched it back this morning, the defenders are breathing down his neck, and there's two of them there. So a touch might just give them that yard to get back in. I think he chose the wrong option with the header, where he's just kind of put it down the keeper's throat. If he'd gone back across the keeper, he might have had more of a chance because the keeper's kind of set. But I think it's such a split-second moment that I can't, I'm not Yusuf Salech. I'm not anywhere near as good a footballer as him. I'm not going to sit here and criticize him too much because he got it on target, which is what you have to do in this situation.
I haven't watched the replay since, so probably, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But at the time, I felt like there was more. He probably had more time to do better with that than he realised. It felt like he felt as if like defenders are like sandwiching him, and he had to get it there and then. But I think, I think if you give him that chance again, he scores it next time.
I don't think he does.
Yeah. Do you not?
No, I think it's a fairly difficult. This is good, because we're disagreeing on absolutely everything so far. But
I can have a look. I can have a quick look on expected goals. You carry on.
But I think it's just a difficult one. It's an odd ball into the box that you don't see very often.
Like no, it's quite central. Behind. It comes from.
Yeah, and I think the keeper's in a good position, right? He's come out. He's fairly central. I think even if you go across him, it's going to take a hell of a pinpoint effort to get it past him. But yeah, I think he's just a little bit unlucky, to be honest.
It comes with an XG of 0.02. 0.25, not 0.25. So it's 25
high.
times out of 100. Yeah, it's quite high. I think next time he takes it, he goes across the keeper or he puts it in a different place. I think that's what he'll try and do because I think he couldn't really do much else with it when it came into him. But he just found the keeper. He put it down the keeper's throat, and I think he'll learn from that rather than necessarily guaranteed to scoring again. Let's talk about Yusuf Salech. Obviously, the good news is that he's been discharged from hospital. There's no major damage. He's got a rest and recovery period. We probably won't see him Tuesday if there's concussion protocols, if his neck's a bit stiff, because it looked like it will be quite stiff after that. But at the time, Ben, obviously, it was an incredibly worrying incident, wasn't it? I think everyone would have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, he goes in for a challenge with their big defender, and I think we'll talk about whether it's a foul or not, but the aftermath is that the defender falls and lands on his neck. And there's a moment where it's like Salek's head is trapped under the defender and then it snaps back. And at that point, you think, God, that could be really bad. Let's talk about the incident, Ben. We've all got different opinions. We disagree with absolutely everything because we all have different opinions on this. Ben, you don't think it was a foul in the first place, so you can go first.
It's not that I don't think it's a foul. I can see why it
he's backtracking.
No, it's just I can see why it wasn't given as a foul. I think he's led with his arm, and I think if Salech leads with his arm like he does, the referee gives a foul. And it opens up the wider discussion of where I think the blame lies with this. Stockport seem to be Stockport fans especially seem to be in their bonnet thinking that like we're blaming Hills for everything. He's the worst person. He should be shot for everything that happened there. My anger isn't with him for that. There's other stuff he did later on that I'm pissed off with him. I think he's a shithouse for. But I think all of this comes down to poor refereeing. It's unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate. There's stuff like what he's done doesn't help. It's a really unfortunate landing that just sort of happens to like he's a big bloke and he's landed on the back of Salek's head and neck. Yeah. That's sort of where the issue is. It's not that he's led with the elbow and sort of done this. The way he's jumped has probably caused it. The way he sort of flung his arm across and sort of out of control. But 99 times out of 100, he's not landing like that, and the game goes on and Salech stays on the pitch. I will come to the bigger refereeing thing after it, but yeah, I don't think that was a foul. I can see why it wasn't given as a foul, where the referee's point of view was. I think the other way, if it was Salech doing that, he gives it as a foul though.
Tom, what was your take?
I think it's very similar to the kind of Bradford game where it's just two lumps having a go at each other the whole time, and it's just 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, isn't it? I think it just looks bad at the end. I think it's one of those ones where if nobody's injured and they both just jump up, I don't think anything's said about it. I think my issue is how long it took for officials to react to see that he was injured. I am not sure it's a foul. I think Salech is a pain in the ass, and we've come across two teams recently who have had an equal wanker at the back, to put it bluntly, who would just like to mix it, and just Salech hasn't coped that well. But in that challenge, I think it just looks worse than it is, and it's not really a foul.
See, I think on the balance it probably is a foul, and I think it's just because when I've watched it back a few times, it kind of I appreciate, and you know, the defense will be that Brad Hills has to jump with his arms in the air because that's how you get leverage and all that kind of stuff. But I think him and Salech, if you watch it, watching it during the game, there were moments where they were going at each other off the ball. I think there was a moment where Salech ran through the back of Hills, and I think Hills has seen an opportunity to kind of just put his arm out and impede him. And I don't know whether he's gone out with an elbow like the ones that are later in the game. I don't think he's gone to like elbow him sharply in the face, but I think he's put his arm there to impede him because he knows Salech is going to jump. And also, Salech is going to jump. So therefore, the arm is always going to be there. And Salech kind of jumps into the arm to try and win the foul. So I can see why the referee hasn't given it, but I still think it is a foul because I think Hills puts his arm there and tries to block off Salech when he didn't really have to do that necessarily. But the aftermath is the problem as well. And I think that's what most Cardiff fans are annoyed about. I think we can sit there and debate whether it's a foul or not until the cows come home. But in reality, it doesn't matter because it doesn't stop what happens next. And I think that's the problem. And especially to your point, Ben, with the refereeing, he couldn't control that game. And it was bad for both teams. I think I had Stockport fans in our mentions going, he was bad for both of us. And he was a terrible referee for the whole game. It just feels like we've disproportionately suffered because the incidents that he was bad for us were the bigger incidents. It was the elbow on Wintle. There was an elbow on NG. There was a foul on Callum Robinson. They won. They may have some claims over some of those free kicks being soft, but then he was booking our players, but not booking their players for similar things or worse things. So it went both ways. And I don't think the referee had any control over that game whatsoever. There were even times where the linesman would give a throw in our way and he'd give it the other way. There were times where he would see a foul, he'd go to blow and just play on. And it was baffling what he was doing then. And Ben, to your point, that was the problem with the aftermath in this incident, wasn't it? Because it wasn't that he stopped play instantly. He lets play run on and only stops play when he books one of our players for a foul.
Which I don't get. I don't get how you can look at that incident, look at that. I'm watching it. I've got second screen here. The referee's looking at how he lands. He sees the landing.
He immediately grabs his neck.
Yeah.
But it's not even that. The referee sees the landing. Whether he goes for it or not, you've seen someone come down on top of someone's head. You've got to stop players. It's a nasty injury. It's a player welfare issue that you're supposed to stop play for. He doesn't. He carries on. He runs away, and then it only gets stopped because Wintle brings the man down so there could be treatment given to Salech. It's just flat out appalling refereeing, not just from him, because even if he wasn't looking at it, the fourth official and the linesman should be flagging to say this is a head, or like signaling to the referee to say stop play. This is a nasty one, but they don't do that. It's really, really poor, and it ends up with Wintle getting booked, which means he can't play his full game because he's always cautious of being on a yellow. The whole game was disrupted, and it was all down to this referee. I think there's not much he got right in that game. It's one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen. Even at like the level I play, like you have coaches ref like of the home team ref in the game, and they've given better performances than that. It was a fucking disgrace. Honestly, it was just embarrassing from him, and he just had no control over any part of it and no clue what he was doing.
Tom, do you agree with that assessment?
I thought he did all right. No, he was. No, it was just it was baffling. I think he didn't have control of the game at any point, and it was almost like rugby style at one point. Like he booked Wootton for them, what felt like an accumulation of team fouls.
Yeah,
and it's like that's not.
Yeah,
how
I don't get that one either.
Works. It's like he hadn't really done anything, and then you'd see like a challenge later on that was worse, but in like exactly the same position, and he wouldn't book them. And he was bad for both teams, but like you said, it was definitely worse for us because the ones that he got wrong for us were things that were malicious, game changing stuff. Yeah, exactly. Right. The ones for them were just petulant, and it was just like breakups in play and just the odd booking here and there. But against us, it was just like you said, elbows to faces, hacking people down, and those were the incidents that really kind of broke any flow that we had in that game.
Yeah,
and Stockport were effective. I thought it was a really, really solid away performance.
Yeah.
And I think if we didn't score in the lead up to halftime, I don't think we score at all in that game. I think they did a number on that.
Didn't they?
Yeah, I think their press was great from start to finish, but the ref let them play that kind of game where they broke up play, stopped any momentum, and it became a little bit of a tough game to watch in large parts. But yeah, credit to Stockport, but no credit whatsoever to the referee.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the other decisions a bit later on. Obviously, Salech. The good news on Salech is that he's out of hospital. Obviously, a rest and recovery this week, which is massive news really, because at the time it did look really worrying. Obviously, there's the abundance of caution when they're treating head injuries, treating neck injuries. So it did look more dramatic than it probably was. But you have to take those precautions because you never know what's actually happened. So he's out of hospital now, which is really good news for us. But Ben, I think obviously 14 minutes of injury time. The game was suspended from about the 27th minute to the 40th minute. Game went on until 60 minutes in the first half. And as much as that injury was a bad one, and I can imagine the players were worrying, they kind of stuck to their task, didn't they? And I think it's a testament to the players that they just carried on and got the goal before half-time, because they could have easily wilted in the face of, the bigger boys, if we want to call them that, from Stockport, in the face of bad refereeing. But they didn't. They went toe-to-toe and they got their equaliser back before half-time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was down to Callum Robinson. He came on, really sort of jeered the boys up and sort of changed the game plan as well. We played like Ryan Barry Murphy said at full time, when he plays, he's a completely different player to Salech, and you've got to play differently. And that sort of helped us in a way. But he was sort of, from the moment he came on, he was talking to the boys, jeering them up, trying to get them going again. It really worked because Stockport didn't really do that. But even during like the delay in play, I thought it was really interesting. Sort of you could see one of them's got a much more advanced sports science setup than the other. Stockport were doing the sort of park five-a-side rondo, and our players were sort of on the pitch doing drills and sort of sprints and keeping themselves warm, whereas Stockport were a lot more static, and they never really got going in that second half. Then it was that was quite interesting to me to see. It was very, it felt non-league versus sort of team that's played in the Premier League quite recently. Sort of that just sort of showed.
Joel Colwell's goal, Tom. Go on, Ben. What are you going to say?
Am I reading too much into it, or do you guys?
I reckon I just after last week,
I didn't genuinely notice it.
I thought you were going to say that it was woke behaviour from us, that we were taking it too seriously, really.
Because I'm not a fan of short corners.
I pigeonholed you. I thought you were going to say it was woke. But no, I think because it was so much time to watch them warming up, I think I drilled into it too much as well, kind of watching it, looking at the approach. It was funny, Callum Robinson getting told off for going on the field early.
That was odd.
That was funny.
Because it was like, no, you're not on yet, so go back off, please. It was like the detail, but it was funny. See, it did feel like a completely different situation between two teams. I give you that.
Yeah, I think I kind of sums up the refereeing in that sense, isn't it? That Callum Robinson got told off for going on the pitch. Like, that's such park refereeing. It's like, just have some common sense. Like, he needs to warm up. That he's not getting an advantage by warming up on the pitch.
Wasn't that they were making him take off his wedding ring before as well? Because normally you can take it off.
He couldn't do it, could he?
And he couldn't get it off as well.
He couldn't get it off. He's like pulling it off for hours. Let's talk about Colwell's goal, Tom, before we get into the second half. Lovely strike by Joel Colwell.
Yeah, and good build-up as well, I think. Like, as much as some of Tanner's decision-making at times can be a little bit frustrating, I thought he was like our major outlet in that first half. I think, to be honest with you, Tanner and Colwell, by the end of the game, were probably our two best players on the pitch, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colwell, he put his foot through it. I think it did take a slight deflection in the end, right? Because the keeper was,
I assume so,
nowhere near it.
It's quite
hard to tell.
Exactly.
I can't tell. Really I still can't tell.
It might have nicked off his foot.
But like, it's what you like to see from Colwell, is getting in those positions. He gets it out of his feet and just twats it, really. He's quite good at that.
Yeah.
And he deserved it, to be honest. I thought he really put himself about. Like we said earlier on, he dwelled on the ball a little bit at times, but I blame the teammates on the one where he kind of gave it away. Nobody gave him a warning. But I think on the face of it, I think we deserved that goal. And I think that link-up play between Tanner and Colwell kind of summed up what we did do well. It's a pity we didn't kick on after it. But yeah, it was an important goal going into that break that we got something.
Yeah, Ben, it felt like there was a delayed reaction to the stoppage in the second half, wasn't there? Because things did seem to it became a bit more cagey in the second half. As much as we were the better team, it felt like we weren't playing that free-flowing football at times that we used to. And I wonder if it was that delayed reaction to the stoppage, because it felt like before halftime, it was like, okay, we've got the impetus here. We need to kind of get something back to kind of counteract the 50 minutes we've had off. But the second half, it just felt like the energy had gone a little bit.
I think it's a lot of that. You've seen your mate get hurt. You're still not too sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's fucking freezing cold. It's wet. Stockport are making it like a very difficult game as well. It was never going to be a classic, but it was also not a pretty game of football in that second half for either side. But I think that's where Stockport do well. They made it not pretty. Like if it turns into like a possession-based sort of skill-based game, I think we probably win that. Stockport needed to make it a gritty, hard-fought game. That's exactly what they did to come away with anything, and that's full credit to them because that's exactly what they did, and they did it very well.
Despite that time, we did have a couple of chances in the second half. The one in particular, Callum Robinson, lovely bit of interplay, I think, with Chris Willock. He finds himself sort of 8 to 10 yards out to the right of the goal. Keeper makes a good save. Probably the best chance of that second half for us. Do you think Callum should have done better with it?
Nah, again, I think he did everything right. Yeah, I think he did everything right. Got in the end of it, and the keeper made himself big and pulled off a good save. Yeah. But I thought the interplay down that flank with Bagan and Willock, I thought Willock did really well when he came on. He looked classy. Yeah. He got in some really good positions. He got himself into the box on a number of occasions where we struggled to do that earlier in the game. I think that's when he's at his most effective, is coming off the bench and putting in performances like that. And I think another 10, 15 minutes of that game, we score. But I think we were just a little bit unlucky there. We started a knock on the door, but it was a little bit too late in the end. But yeah, some good interplay. And I think like if Salech is out for a number of weeks, there's some promising kind of... If Robinson's playing, I wouldn't be surprised if Willock plays a bit more. Because I think seeing them two play together, it really works as a unit.
I also think, I think the wingers as a collective were pretty good in this game. I think Ashford played really well. There were moments where he was able to do what he does best, which is cut back inside. He won free kicks. He put balls into the box when he could. He had a few chances himself that were half chances. Willock did really well when he came on. Tanner was probably our most dangerous player when he was on the pitch. Isaac Davis didn't really have time to come on and do too much when he was on, but he looked all right. And I think Bagan being further up the pitch and pushing forward, as NG was as well, meant that we actually looked pretty dangerous from the wings. It's kind of annoying that we lost Salech for that game, because I think there were times where we were looking to get crosses in, but without that focal point, we thought against it, or we played the pass back, or we tried to get closer to get the ball in along the ground. So it was frustrating. I think we were a better team in the second half. We've kind of touched upon it already, but there was a couple of... I've written flashpoints in the second half, Ben. We'll start with the first one, which was an elbow on Perry NG that the referee didn't give. Did you think that was a foul? I didn't think it was, really. Or it's not really. It's not really a malicious elbow.
Yeah, he's not gone in to hurt him, unlike later on. I think, I can see why that wasn't given. That's probably one of the few things I can understand. But I also understand the uproar as well, because he has led with the arm. It's just an odd inconsistencies from the referee again for some of the fouls he was given elsewhere.
Yeah. Tom, Ollie Norwood on Callum Robinson. The clearest yellow card you'll ever see that the referee didn't give. What was your take on that?
I think it's a red.
It's reckless.
It's reckless, and it's 2 feet
from behind.
Yeah. I think he's very, very lucky. I think he gets away with it because he's an older, quite nice professional. Do you know what I mean? I think he's one of those players that referees will struggle to give a card to because he's always so polite and apologetic and helping him off the floor. And I think it's a different person. If it's Perry NG making that challenge, I think there's more problems.
Well, Perry's not helping him up for one, is he?
No, exactly. Stabber is spitting on him or something. But I think he's very, very lucky. Because I think it's reckless.
Do you know how he got away with it? As an older brother, this is what he did. He knew he fucked up and basically did the don't tell mum, and like sort of tried pulling Callum Robinson up as he did
straight away.
And it really made me laugh. I was like, I used to do that when I was a kid when I hurt my brother. When you do something stupid, you go, right, get up. And I think that's how he got away with it, because he didn't let Robinson make more of a meal of it. Because I think I saw a couple of people describe it as an orange card. I think that is the perfect summary. It's probably, if it's a red card, you might think it's a bit harsh, but you could see if it was given.
Full value yellow.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a yellow card. And the fact that nothing was given blew my mind. Some of the stuff he booked players for.
That's what I mean. I assumed he had booked him because it was so clear cut. And it was like, it's obviously a yellow. Of course he's going to book him. And Norwood just ran away, and I was like, he hasn't booked him. And I had to double check now on FOTMob to see if he had been booked. He hadn't been booked.
No.
Ben Kellyman being booked for hauling someone back. Kellyman at that point had been on the pitch for approximately 1 minute. had barely done anything, and the first thing he does is get booked. I think that's a fair yellow card because he's stopping a promising attack. But he doesn't then book their player for doing the same thing when we were attacking at the other end where he gave advantage.
It's exactly that, isn't it? It's the lack of consistency. It just all adds up to like one of the worst refereeing performances I think I've ever seen. Just those little details of, I've got no problem with Kellerman being booked there. It's a foul. It's a yellow card.
No, it's a yellow card.
But just not giving it the other way is just so odd. Like, you've given advantage, so you've acknowledged the foul. You're supposed to then, like, and I'm not saying bring it back. Like we didn't get the advantage. The advantage was played. It was fair. But just to play the advantage doesn't mean that's not a yellow card offence and the yellow card should be given. It's just really, really poor. I would say he's going to have sort of nightmares about that performance, that referee. But from what I've sort of seen from other reports when I search his name on Twitter, he's been pretty consistent with this all season that he's a very, very poor referee. So
he probably thinks he did well. Good process, boys.
Oh, well, good Saturday, that, boys.
Yeah, good Saturday. And then, Tom, probably the most egregious one was that Stokes elbow on Ryan Wintle. And again, this is confusing for a number of reasons. I think the first one is it's obviously an elbow where he's gone to do him. I think if you watch it back, he checks over his shoulder a couple of times and knows where Ryan Wintle is and then cocks back the elbow. You could say he's trying to put his arm out. You could try and defend it that way. But he puts his arm out in such a way that he catches Wintle flush. So he's looked at him. He's caught him with the elbow flush. The fact that the referee gives it, you think, okay, there's only one option here. He's got to go. It's yellow. It's a red card. No, he books him. It's baffling.
Like you say, you could defend it that way. There's no defending it. He looks round, he elbows him straight in the mush.
Look, I'm trying to be a bit down the line. I'm on the fence, but I think it's a red card.
Yeah, he elbows him straight in the face. And I think Connor said it on the Cardiff City TV comms. He's like, if you're giving that, it's violent conduct. It's a red card. It's either off or it's not a foul, really. Like it's just put it straight in his face. Like, and it's right in view of the referee. And it's just a mad decision. Like, there's not much more to say to it. Like, it's a bad challenge. And it's the obvious glance. He just looks back, elbows him straight in the face. He doesn't really over-egg it. He gets elbowed in the face. Of course he's going to go down. And he's still holding his face about 5 minutes later because he's caught him absolutely flush. And it's just added to the pile of baffling decisions that we got in that game.
The only way you could have made it more premeditated is if he stuck like a bullseye on Wintle's chin just before he did it. It can't be more obvious that that's what he's going to do. The look back twice and then like sort of levels his arm to go, about there will do, and bang. It's fucking just, I don't get it. And to give a yellow card, like, it's just odd. Like, who's looking at that going, that's a booking. If you're given a foul, it's a red. It's the only colour it can be.
Yeah. It's worse than giving nothing.
Yeah.
The yellow is more frustrating because he hasn't missed
a complete bottle job.
Yeah, it's just
that's
the wrong
exactly
decision.
It. He bottled it.
Yeah.
He knows that something's gone on, but he doesn't want to cause any outrage, so he just books the player. One of the Stockport journalists commented that Josh Stokes, his name was, the player who did it on Wintle, left one in on Ryan Wintle. And I quote tweeted that and said, funny way to say elbowed in the face. He's deleted that tweet now, but he responded to me a bit later on saying whether it was a red. He said, seen it back, naughty from JS, and have seen reds given for it. Not sure there'd be huge complaints, not many valid ones anyway, if it was a red. Get those splinters out your ass, mate. It's a red card. Like,
was it Sam something?
Yeah, I found the tweet, but he's deleted the original tweet I responded to. Yeah.
Sam Byrne was the journalist. Yeah, I had an interaction with him as well because he made a bit of a fool of himself, I think, to be honest. He sort of jumped in on people, like City fans sort of responding to him, and that he's trying to make out like he's been impartial when everything he did was sort of trying to be in favour of it. And it was just odd.
And look, I think Stockport fans, as we've talked about off air, Stockport fans have really gone to town on this. They got a point at the CCS. They're calling us soft lads, mad asses, all this kind of stuff. It's one of the most bizarre reactions I've seen from a set of football fans. I think if we're being objective on this podcast, They came and did a job on us. They did what they had to do, and they took away a point. They're probably one of the most impressive teams I've seen at the CCS all season. They had a game plan, they executed it perfectly, and they caused us problems. And I can see why they're probably going to end up fighting for that, fighting for the automatic promotion places alongside us, Bradford, whoever else is in the running come the end of the season. But I also don't want to give them that credit, Ben, because they're fucking weird football fans, aren't they?
Proper odd. Like, you can tell that is a town that's near a big city and everything's a chip on their shoulder. Just really, really weird. There's a comment later sort of in the questions of the difference between League One and Championship isn't sort of the quality of football. It's in the Championship, teams are arguing about how big they are. In League One, it's teams arguing about how small they are. And I think that's the perfect sum up of it.
Little Stockport County.
Just really weird. Like, oh yeah, you got rattled by Little Stockport County. Not really rattled, just confused by your reaction, boys. There's a lad going off in a neck brace with oxygen and you're booing him.
It's a bit Stoke, isn't it?
It's just weird and just
a weird
place.
Though, they have rattled me.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it.
It's the most I got rattled. They've rattled me from 10,000 miles away, which is some achievement, to be fair. But I was just watching it in the past. But like, it properly rattled me. I'm not sure why. But like, yeah, it was just an irritating game, I think. And there was just like a sense of relief at the end of it that we got a point out of it. Because when they had that corner at the end, I was just like, they're going to fucking score here. It just felt like one of those games I was going to slip inevitable. Away from us. It really did, because we're not the best. I tell you what, though, that's a side point. I thought our low attacking corners were quite good.
Yeah, I like the in-swinger there,
Yeah, I thought you wouldn't like that again, Ben. Too well.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No, it's not short. It's not a short corner. It was trying to drop it in the near post for someone to attack. I like that. All for that. It wasn't a short corner.
It's a way around it, isn't
nonsense.
But I genuinely thought they were going to win it. And I think we'll look back at this point in a couple of months' time as a big point. Because, again, it's a team in a run-in with us who haven't gained any ground on us. And then you've got Bradford slipping up. And suddenly that, I know there's games in hand and stuff like that. But, like, there's still a big gap. And as long as we keep chipping away and getting points from these sorts of games, when we're not playing at our best in tough conditions, then great. But in the nicest possible way, fuck Stockport County. I used to like them a little bit, but I've really, really gone off them. I get the Wrexham, the animosity that they have now.
What I will give them credit for is I think they've got the 3 best kits in the league.
Oh, that away kit is lovely.
Yeah, really I thought it was Wimbledon for a while, but sort of looking at that and what they've got for the other ones as well, that green away kit is superb with the badge. Nice, very, very good.
And
wasted on it, if anything.
Yeah, wasted on it. What I will say is at the end of the game, obviously Brad Hills has given it the big and do what you want. Who gives a shit, really? I care. I'm annoyed. But what I really liked was obviously Perry NG, Gabe Osho. They got involved, and I think what was quite nice is that they didn't let it boil over during the game. They just kind of played their game, but after the game, they got stuck in. And even BBM got on the pitch and got into Brad Hills as well. So, like, fair play to him for actually doing that, because I think it could have been easy just to go, thank God we got away with a point from that. Let's go check if Jesus Salech's okay. But the fact we didn't let them do that is nice. I think it shows that a team is really close and coming together at a crucial time. So, fair play. Look, do what you want. If you want to wave at our fans, you can wave at our fans, but don't then cry ass when we get in your face. So, fuck Stockport County in the nicest way possible. BBM said after the game, Ben, obviously, I said to a friend during the game, it's rare that you see BBM actually criticise the referees. There's been times this season where he could have quite easily come out and rake them over hot coals, but he hasn't. But he did come out after the game yesterday and said it's been coming, to be honest. For months now, he hasn't been protected by referees. We analyse games heavily, and if you're an opposing manager, you see what you can and can't get away with against the player with his profile. He's clearly been fouled and not got any free kicks. There's a lot of talk about thresholds and level of contact that cannot be prolonged in more than previous years. It's got ridiculous. The level of challenges he's facing are clear fouls and they're not being punished. This isn't just about the game. It's been building for a long time. This is a natural result where he's not been protected by referees. To your point where you can see why you don't think it was a foul, in other circumstances, challenges like that wouldn't have to happen because the referees wouldn't have let it go on this long, would they? And I think that's where I find the problem with it the most, is that it might not be a foul, but it's a robust challenge that in other circumstances wouldn't have been allowed to stand 6 games ago. But because the treatment runs on and on and on. Defenders kind of up their ante every time, don't they?
Yeah, look, they're looking at what they can get away with, and they've got away with. There was a couple of in at the start of the game as well. Both boys were giving it the big one.
Yeah,
it like I think BBM summed it up perfectly. It's the culminate. That event isn't the issue. Well, it is in a way, but that has been coming for such a long time. Yeah, it's a wider picture of, and yeah, look, you're going to see what you can get away with. And Stockport played the game they were allowed to play, and I've got no issues with that. It all falls on refereeing. The refereeing's got to be better to stop that from preventing that from happening in the first place. You're going to take as far as you can as a player. I've played in rough games where you sort of push it until it eventually boils over. There's something that stops it, and that was the incident with Salech. But it seems to be a thing of like, if a striker's 6 foot tall, and I think what on the other end, I think Wotton got a couple of soft ones given against him. There was one with Osho, was never
clever defended by Osho, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he knows what's coming. The other way around, if Osho's doing that to what, like nothing's getting given, and it seems to be a thing with referees that if a striker is above 6 foot tall and a bit built, the threshold for being fouled seems to be a million times higher. And it was only ever going to end up with someone getting hurt. We're just unlucky it was Salech. It could have been any number of big strikers. It could be someone like Kiefer for playing for Wrexham, or it could have been what? It could have been Wotton. It very easily could have been in a couple of games, because it's just unbalanced. It's just a lack of consistency. It needs to be the same threshold, whether you're an attacker or a defender, whether you're 5'8" or 6'3". The foul is a foul. It shouldn't have to be someone getting seriously hurt like this for this to be sort of brought up. And it's again an issue that the FA really need to look at, because the level of officiating all around is really poor, but in League One is something else.
Really bad. He's right, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, bang on. And it's just
we didn't agree at the start, but now we all agree. Lovely.
We've come back. Yeah, we're united front, but like, yeah, he's bang on, because like we've seen it for years. Like, and before it felt like it was only kind of like international games where you get it. It was European referees who didn't get the rough and tumble.
You could always get a yellow card booking, a yellow card bet for Kiefer Moore, and it would come in.
Yeah, exactly the type of thing. But now it feels like it's gone too far the other way in the UK. It was just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, you could just foul those big strikers and just nothing gets given. And yeah, it is frustrating. That's the one bit the referees have been consistent for. We ask for consistency, but not there, because he's got absolutely nothing out of referees this year. And yeah, it's becoming a problem.
It is becoming a problem. Let's go to Twitter, where I'm sure the conversation continues. Twitter.com/VFT Ninian. We are taking questions via Instagram and everything else at the moment. We put the post out this morning, so it's a little bit late, but we'll keep tabs on that for future podcasts. Nigel Harris, a good point as Bradford lost, while Stockport, who play to their strengths and much fancied in August, show they're not good enough to catch us. Poor miss by Salech before injury, poor goal conceded. The need for an extra forward is obvious. Love Robbo, but he's no line leader. Thomas Taylor, I know the refs we got in the Championship are dreadful, but League One refs make them look like Pierluigi Collina. Just really hope Salech is okay more than anything, and it's not as serious as it looked. Horrible game all round. Win Howell says, we didn't play Stockport AFC, we played Stockport ABH. Matt Bluebird 27 says League One referees are a different breed. Shocking, worst I've seen for years. On to the good parts. We played some nice stuff and tried new things, but sometimes need to carry on what's been working. Another point, another step away from these joke officials. Alex OS, all things considered, a point in one of our hardest fixtures, left with Salech's injury not being nearly as bad as feared and extending the gap to third. Not nearly as bad as as it seemed at full time. Keep the faith. Alex Bennett, 3 would have been nice. But a point is fine, all things considered. Main thing is we stretch the gap from third. Ask the one who likes wrestling. That's you, Ben Price. Who's winning the Rumbles, please?
Oh, good question. I'm not that interested in Saudi. Yeah, next Saturday. It's in Saudi Arabia. So the thing is,
oh my god, that's million.
The good thing is it's on at a sensible time. The bad thing is in Saudi Arabia, and I'm not really that interested in watching it. They're doing WrestleMania the next year as well in Saudi, because turning over billions.
Apparently, they're bringing back an event to Cardiff this year as well. I saw.
Yeah, prices would be very silly for that. I might end up going to AEW in Wembley. But enough on that. Who do I think's going to win the Rumble? I honestly, for the first time in a long time, I don't know. I think probably Roman Reigns for the men's and the women's. I'll go Liv Morgan.
All right, I don't know who either of those people are. Where were we? Sven, take the point and move on. Big week incoming. 6 points would be ideal, but never that easy, is it? If you were a vegetable, what would you be and why? Tom. That's a bad one, Tom.
That was a bad one. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm tired today. I've sworn a lot as well. I don't know, actually. Potato, I reckon. Just
a normal
standard.
Potato.
Normal potato, yeah. Bog standard, yeah.
Ben?
Parsnip.
Parsnip. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go sweet potato. Just because I prefer the sweet potatoes to normal potatoes. They don't make bad jokes. Rodri, why is it Kiefer Moore gets a yellow for Wales every time he jumps, but Hills gets nothing? Ref was a disgrace. Morgan Davis, a question. Winton and Bagan have been two of our best players by far this season, but have struggled in the Championship in the past. Do you think they've found their level in League One, or just being coached by a better manager in BBM and can flourish in the Championship when we go up? I think Wintle, when we played him in the Bullet in the Championship, is playing a role that didn't suit him. Like, at the base of the three he's playing at the moment just really works for him because he's able to be the calm anchor in the middle of the park, whereas under Bullet, he was being asked to play in a 10 or an 8, or he's trying to be played in a completely different role. I think Bagan...
I forgot about Wintle in the 10.
I just think Bagan's a better footballer than we've given credit for previously. And I think now he's just got a run of games. We're seeing the best out of him in a system that suits him. Because I think if you look at our stats, he's our biggest chance creator, and that's because we're playing a system that allows him to get forward and put crosses in. And I think we're just getting the best out of Bagan and Wintle because we've got a coach who knows what he's doing with them. Jamie says, give us your thoughts on Stockport, the darkest artist. Transfer Ballard, please, Drives. Anything else? The gap between Sunday League and League One referees is smaller than the gap between League One and Champions referees, who are also piss poor. Harry Dickens, think the absolute shambles of a refereeing performance overshadowed how competent performance we actually put in. Bar the Stockport goal, which came from, I think, some unsure defending. They didn't get a real sniff from 40 minutes onwards. Let's see Robbo go for it. This is the comment I think you touched on, Ben. The common bluebird. Interesting contrast how in the Championship, everyone you play boasts about how big they are, whereas in League One, everyone you play boasts about how small they are. Little old Stockport. It's true. Gareth Dunning, no debate in the ref, almost like he was doing it on purpose to prove that he could. Decent point given the difficult circumstances. Tuesday will be equally difficult without the big man. Gigi the Bluebird, this one's for you, Tom. Is Puscott our fourth choice centre-back now? I feel once Lawler is fit, he gets minutes, but I'm struggling to see where Puscott comes in.
Possibly. I don't think there's like a kind of clear pecking order. I think you'll see a game like that against Stockport. You're like, oh, maybe Osho needs to come out for a game again to calm down. Like with some of the passing and stuff like that. I think it's just a bit about rotation. And I think there's just certain games that suit different centre backs. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one because I think the four of them have played really well this season. I don't think in the last couple of months, I don't think any of them really stepped out of line.
Anthony Jones, Wintle superb again. Take the point and move on. Hoping for good news on Salech. Ref is a disgrace, but what's new? Amy says, re-officials, complacency in the workplace. A great goal by Joel Will. I'll take a point, but that was a depressing game. Ewan James says, I'll skip the game notes. Plenty of thoughts, but I expect they'll be discussed. So instead, have you noticed that NG runs like the children from the movie Weapons when he's being held fouled? On that note, which of our squad is most least likely to survive a horror movie? I've not seen the film Weapons. Have either of you seen it? I'm going to have to look that up.
No.
But then which of our squad are most or least likely to survive a horror movie? Most likely, I'm going to go Wintle because he'll just get by somehow. He does the good stuff, does the hard stuff without really noticing it. Least likely, I don't imagine Isaac Davis is. I think Isaac Davis is easily scared, so I'm going to go Isaac Davis. Who do you think is most likely, least likely, Ben?
Most likely, I think, is Perry NG. I think he's...
Agreed.
If anything...
He was one of my options, but I thought you'd go for him.
Yeah, most likely to be the actual person in the horror film, to be honest, Perry NG. Least likely, Isaac Davis was one of them, just because in most horror films, the thick one tends to die first. And... yeah, it's between him and Ashford for that. But I could also see Osho being the first to die in some sort of comedy way of just sort of by just accidentally. The way his sort of last couple of months has gone, I could see him doing something and end up accidentally get like him winding up dead. So yeah, I'll go Davis or Osho.
Tom?
I think Perry Ng, is the most likely to survive it. I don't know, Robertson. I can't imagine him. I don't know. I feel like he'd get targeted. I don't know why. I think they'd go after him first. I'm just basing it on vibe. Nothing else, really. No scientific reason behind it.
Well, I like it. I like a vibe. Lauren says a game where the referee lost control long before the Salech incident. A very good point considering the circumstances and all the Stockport incidents that went unpunished. Richard Endicott, Brad Hills is the most Sunday League player I've seen at the CCS. Unfortunately, there was a Sunday League ref too. What is the best Sunday League ground you've been to? Mine is Lascelles Park, Slough for Windsor, FC away versus Sing Saba. A beautiful view of Windsor Castle. I always like playing in Cardiff by the Steelworks in Splot because you had a nice view of the Steelworks behind you. And it was very overwhelming. Ben, favourite Sunday League ground as a man who...
Abertlew Bluebirds have a fantastic ground. It's sort of in the middle of a valley. It's one nice little stand. It's just very picturesque. I go with them. Yeah, I'll probably go with them.
Tom?
In the valleys, there's loads of good ones. Just
there's loads of good ones in the valleys.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gone to many like real Sunday League ones for a long time now because I stopped playing senior football when I was like 19. But like, I don't know. Like, I always liked going to the ones like in like rural West Wales where there was absolutely nothing for ages and just a random pitch popped up out of nowhere surrounded by farms. And I always liked down like where you had to walk like half a mile to go from a port to cabin to find the pitch.
Yeah.
I like that sort of like, it's just like, I don't know how a football club has survived here considering nobody lives within 3 miles of it. But
there's a team in Mid Wales called St. Armand. They've moved now. They're playing like not actually playing in St. Armand Village, but theirs originally was the showers they got from B&Q. It was a converted farmer's shed where he'd stored like hay and stuff in, and the pitch before kickoff you'd have to move the sheep off the pitch, and one side of the pitch was just a drop. It was unbelievable. It was the best pitch I ever played on.
I always like playing in the valleys, playing in Guildford, Gork and places like that. Glen TCFC, we've said all season how bad the refs have been in regards to the treatment of Salech, but did any of us would think it would end up with him being stretchered off and on oxygen? That ref was more of a shambles than usual. Sean Holt, the amount of forearm smashes into our players was obviously a tactic by several of Stockport. Hill didn't get booked and another only got a yellow, not a red. Like watching Big Daddy and Haystacks, but they were acting like it was borderline assault, similar to Welsh League last week. Oliver Rees, this one's for you, Ben. Mark Harris, anyone?
No.
You scored yesterday?
Now. Yeah,
you scored yesterday.
His second of the season. I think the dream of the Ballon d'Or is gone. I'm over it now. I'll find something to fixate on soon.
Sam CCFC, try not to bite at opposing fans, but can't help it today. Can argue the Salech incident was accidental, but all they want doesn't change the fact their players are at it all game, elbowing all over the place. On the dirtiest sides I've seen us play. Promotion party still on, though. Rick Lewis, a horrible game that I was glad to see the final whistle of. The ref was by far the worst we've seen this season. We've seen some shockers. A great strike by Joel Colwell, but thoughts are with Salech right now, and hopefully his injury isn't a serious one. Savigma, it was wet, freezing, and the game needed to be entertaining. Instead, it was depressing, sketchy, disjointed. We thought at time our best player, who just signed a long-term deal, may have suffered a career-ending injury, and it lasted 20 minutes longer. Love football, me. Diff says, just before the horrible Salech injury, it was obvious they were leaving something on him at every opportunity. All season, the fans have been shouting for this treatment to Salech. What's going on? Glad BBM spoke out about it. Liam Williams, I don't think there's a club and its fan base more insufferable than those Manc inbreds. One in particular seems to take absolute pride in giving it large that their Sir Bradley ragged Salech round today. Attempted murder, proper mardas. He has 7 replies to that tweet. And a lot of them are Stockport fans asking him about geography being his strong point. If we are Manc, then you lot are Jacks. What you want about Taffy, lad? Interesting. Forever Blue, refs have been absolutely abysmal lately, but yesterday was another level. I know we joke as Cardiff fans that they are rigged against us. Yesterday got me thinking it could be possible. That injury to Salech is what happens when the shit is allowed. Like BBM said, it was coming. Tom Prentice, that ref was not fit to officiate in under 10 games, let alone a League One fixture. The quicker we got out of League One, the better. Good to hear that Salech isn't seriously injured. Didn't agree with Hill's reaction to our fans at the end. Grade A Bellend. Bluebird Coxey, not a pretty watch, but got a point. Got home to hear Salech had been released, which was the most important thing. Wondering if half of the treatment time was figuring out how on earth to lift this utter beast of a man. Keith Howells, horrible game to watch. Stockport were by far the dirtiest team we've seen at the CCS in a long time. How that referee is officiating at this level is mind-boggling. They should have finished with 9 men. And Connor Prime, I think he's a Stockport fan, says Mardasses. I said I wasn't going to read out any tweets that said Mardasses, but I've read one out to give them a little bit of satisfaction. Ben, do you want to do predictions now? Because we're at an hour. I didn't think we'd get an hour out of that Stockport game, but here we are.
Yeah, sod it. We've been teasing it for a while enough.
Do the predictions, and then we'll talk about Burton and Barnsley.
We'll do it quickly because it's the midway point. So, start of the season, we did our league table predictions, and the results are interesting. I'm not going to lie.
Are any of us anywhere close to getting things right?
So there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of points where sort of people are expecting stuff. Yeah, we'll go for it here from here. So I'll just do the overall scores because it's sort of hard to. So like a couple of us have got like bang on predictions. Like I predicted Wickham to be 9th, and that's where they are. Sort of stuff like that.
That's the big one.
The key facts are this: Tom Phillips, reigning champ, 134 points. So the point scoring works. If you're a place above or below, you score a point, depending on how far out you are.
Oh.
Tom Phillips on 134.
That's
Ben James, 148.
Ooh, even worse.
Ben Price, 146.
Oh, so I'm doing the worst.
So as it stands, Ben James has done the worst. So Tom, I think, is, considering how sort of where teams are, you're going to take some doing to fall out. So I think the highest place sort of difference is you had Bradford predicted 18th, and I think Bradford for all of us are the ones that do it. So there's 15 points there for you, Ben James, and also Lincoln you had in 15th, and they're second, so there's 13 points there, and I think that is the highest. Tom, your biggest difference was Stevenage. You had them in 8th, so that's 16 points. And also Lincoln as well. Same with me. Yeah, I've got a few. So I had Blackpool in 5th. Obviously, they're in 20th, so that's 15 points. And I also have Bradford in 18th, and that's 15 points there. So there's quite a big ones there. There's a lot of 1s and 2s as well. Not many 0s bang on.
Well, I got 1 bang on. Cardiff, right? Yeah. I just wanted to highlight that.
Sorry,
I'm a believer. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, you're the only person to put Cardiff there. So yeah.
Look, I host this thing. I'm not known for having right football opinions and predictions. I that's why I host it. I don't have to be asked anything. So it was a good cover.
Now you're being exposed.
I'm being exposed. Look,
no, it's 2 points. There's 2 points in it. It probably changes.
Yeah.
This was done last week, so if I look at it this week, it's probably changed again. So, in fact, it will have, because Bradford have dropped and Bolton have gone above. So, yeah.
Look, big week coming up for Cardiff City. Obviously, as the table stands, results went our way yesterday to an extent. Obviously, Bolton won, Bradford lost, Stockport we drew with, Huddersfield won, Luton lost. And we stay top. But I think the crucial thing now, Tom, is that from 3rd place, we're 10 points clear with a game in hand. We've talked about winning the league. We've talked about getting automatic promotion, but it's just putting that gap between us and 3rd is the most crucial thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but is it 4th have got 10 points, but then they've got a game in hand on us? Is that right?
They have,
Yeah, so it's like, we're pulling away from
it's about 7 points if, when it all shakes out.
Yeah, because I don't care if you finish 1st or 2nd. I really don't care about winning the league, really, as long as we go back up. Like, it's nice to win a league, of course it is. But, we're starting to kind of... When we're slipping up, other teams are slipping up worse than us. Like, when we're picking up points, people are losing and stuff like that. And there's one team slipping up out of, the top 4 or 5 each week. So I think, taking 4 points from that Bradford and Stockport game as a bank is great. And I think it's just really important now that we follow up with decent results, Barnsley and Burton, because these are the more winnable games. So, it's about riding those tough fixtures out and then taking advantage of the games that we should be winning. So, we've done our bit in the last week or so, but it's important that we follow it up with at least 4 points, hopefully 6.
And Ben, we're at a strange stage of the season. We're at the stage of the season where teams are playing each other. I'm just looking at the fixtures now. Lincoln's next game is Bradford, so that's 2nd versus 4th. Stockport's next game is Blackpool. Huddersfield are playing Luton, so that's 6th versus 7th. Stevenage are playing Peterborough, 8th versus 9th. So we're going into that period where all the other teams are playing each other. So it's just about holding our nerve, isn't it, Ben? Especially coming into 2 games with Barnsley are down in 15th, Burton, who are down in 20th. It's about just holding our nerve in these 2 games, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think what's really important is we haven't got many of the top 6 left to play, or those sort of pushing around. And you've got Luton. We've got one more against Lincoln.
We've got basically all the top six left to play. We've got Lincoln, Bolton, Huddersfield, Luton. All the
sorry, away.
Away,
away.
Yeah.
So they're at the CCS where our sort
different.
of where our form's been incredible. But even then, like, is it November? Is Blackpool the last time we lost in the league?
Probably. Probably.
No, we lost to Lincoln.
Yeah, lost to Lincoln.
Right.
Of course,
before Christmas.
Just for Christmas, yeah. But like, we're on a hell of a run. I think that
was our first. It was our first draw at the CCS, wasn't it, this season?
Yeah, it's like our results at home, especially considering that's where we sort of struggled the last few years. At home have been incredible, but all around we're just constantly ticking over and picking up points, and that's how we're going to start building this gap up. It's not going to be a case of we probably won't win sort of 6 or 7 back to back for the rest of the season, but as long as it's not too many defeats and it's like a couple of draws in there, it's fine. Keep picking those points up because everyone's going to take points off everyone else, and it's just now we've got that gap. It's just try and maintain that as much as possible. We're in a really, really nice position now. Sort of come out to the end of January, start of Feb, against Rotherham, Burton, Barnsley. None of them are really pushing for the top 6. You should be looking for 9 points there, really, if you want to go up. I'd like to win the league now. If we're not going to go up through the playoffs, which I originally sort of would have quite liked, I think it is nice to win the league and sort of go up as champions.
We've got Barnsley on Tuesday, Tom. Their form is a little bit all over the place. They've won 1 of their last 5, drawn 2, lost 2. I don't really know what to make of them. They drew with Reading, I think, yesterday, beat Blackpool the week before. They've got people like David McGoldrick playing for them. Paddy O'Connell used to be, Owen O'Connell, sorry, who used to be at Wrexham. We're at home, though, aren't we, on Tuesday?
Yeah.
We must win that on Tuesday, Tom, even with the changes we're going to have to make.
I think so. I think because we've drawn the last game, I think it's important that we get back to winning ways. We had that big winning run. It was 8 games at home. Like, we're still unbeaten at home, but I think it's really important that we get that momentum again. You know, it takes the pressure off that away game against Burton. You know, we lost at home to Burton. I think we don't want to be going into that needing to get points from it because there's already the narrative of we've slipped up against them. So, yeah, I think it's big that we follow this up with 3 points.
Ben, do you expect Callum Robinson to come in directly for Salech?
Yeah, it's the obvious choice, isn't it? I don't think they're going to play anything different. I think Robinson would be fuming if he's not. In that start, he looked really, really sharp. He looks up for it. He looks ready to lead that front line. Sort of, this is his chance, really. I think probably he's been quite unlucky, where his goal scoring record's not been too bad this season. He's just not had a consistent run of games because Salek's been so hard to drop. He's been so important to us. So now he's got that chance where we don't know. I'd imagine it's going to be a couple of weeks. I fell on my neck years ago and you're just stiff. Even if there's no proper damage, you're stiff and sore and everything hurts for a few weeks. So I think it's best for him to rest up and sort of, especially in these games where if you're going to take him out for a couple of games, this is probably the couple of games you'd say, it's not a bad time to take him out if he's out for a couple of weeks. Do that, give Robbo a chance, and I think he'll do wonders. He likes having a point to prove. I think that's when he's at his best, when he's got a point to prove. So, yeah, I fancy him to get a couple of goals. I think he'll do all right.
2 games.
Say again, sorry.
You froze, sorry.
These 2 games. I froze. Yeah.
I reckon we'll get 4 points from these 2 games, and I'll be happy with that.
All right. Ben, were you happy with 4 points, or do you think we need 6?
I think you have to get 6. I think you're playing teams down there. If you want promotion, it's got to be wins home and away on these.
I agree. I think it's a real opportunity, especially with Bradford playing Lincoln on Tuesday. I think if that plays out to a draw and we can get a win against Barnsley, that'll put us 6 points? No, we're already 6 points clear. It'll keep us 6 points clear. It'll keep the kind of gap going. Maybe put another point between us. So I can't do maths. It's been a long podcast. We're coming to the end of it. I don't really know where I am anymore.
If it's a draw,
8 points clear. 8 points clear. Well, thank God someone was doing it. So, yeah, I think 2 wins this week. And I think that'll be a real statement going into the kind of second portion of after the January transfer window. So I'm excited. I'm going to Burton on Saturday. Can't wait to drink their local brew. Madri.
The finest Spanish beers.
Delicious. It's horrible. It's horrible beer. I don't know why people drink it. So I'll see everyone in Burton. Ben, Who's scoring this week? Callum Robinson?
Robinson, yeah. Robinson again.
Scoring them all.
All of them.
Tom, any defenders getting a goal this week?
I feel like if Ostro plays, I feel like he's due a header. I think he'll score from a corner this week. But yeah, I fancy Robertson to go on the score sheet.
All right. Lovely stuff. Thanks to everyone who got involved on Twitter, twitter.com/VFTNinian. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Head to kofi.com/VFTNinian. You can email us, vftninian@gmail.com. Ben, what are you doing for the rest of your Sunday?
I am going up to the Newport Fugitives to help get ready for Rochester's first game on Friday under the floodlights. So if you're about on Friday night looking for something to do, £3 entry. They are playing Wattsville, who are going to bring a good crowd as well. Newport Fugitives, come down, watch Rochester play. It's it's a really exciting time for us. We've worked hard to get that all done. And Friday night football, man. Lovely.
Tom, you going to bed?
Yes, it's nearly 11 p.m. and I'm an old man these days, so yes.
All right, lovely stuff. I'm going to play football. So we'll be back next week after the big 2 games this week. We'll see you then.